Well, alrighty, everyone. Happy Tuesday. It's digital host AJ Wuest here, welcoming you back to today's Before the Four. Of course, the live stream where I go through some of 48's top news stories, and then some before our 4 o'clock newscast. I say it each and every day, wherever you're watching Before the Four this afternoon. And this afternoon, our stream is only on YouTube. We're having some technical difficulties with the stream back here on our 48 News app. We will work to resolve these issues, but today, if you're watching on YouTube, welcome in, everyone. I see we have 8 viewers right now, so thank you all for tuning in to today's Before the Four. I always appreciate it. Now, let's begin with the latest out of Iran. President Trump says he may have forced Israel's hand in this attack over the weekend. He spoke today and gave an update on how he sees the war going. While he says Iran has lost military protection, he knows this action will cost American consumers at the gas pumps. NBC's White House correspondent Monica Alba reports. Let's take a look.
As the war in Iran expands and U.S. embassies come under attack, President Trump laying out his argument for attacking Iran and why the U.S. acted now.
We were having negotiations with these lunatics, and it was my opinion that they were going to attack first. They were going to attack. If we didn't do it, they were going to attack first. I felt strongly about that.
He claims the U.S. and Israeli strikes have knocked out Iran's weapon detection system.
We're hitting them very hard, and the big scale hitting goes now. They no longer have air protection.
Still, the president's comments today on the timing and reason for the attack contradict what Secretary of State Marco Rubio told congressional leadership yesterday.
We knew that there was going to be an Israeli action. We knew that that would precipitate an attack against American forces.
Rubio and other administration officials will brief the full Congress this afternoon, looking to sell lawmakers on the war. But already, Democrats are pouncing on what they call the administration's changing objectives.
Regime change, nuclear weapons, missiles, an imminent threat to the homeland, or a preemptive strike to stop future attacks on the region. When the rationale for war keeps shifting, the strategy is missing. And that's because there is no strategy.
Iran is hitting back with drone attacks on U.S. embassies, including Saudi Arabia. That embassy, along with others in the region, are now closed. The war impacting the world's energy sources, with Iran targeting the region's oil fields and shipping in the Strait of Hormuz shut down, pushing oil prices higher, in turn leading to rising costs at the gas pumps. The president admitting Americans will feel a pinch.
So if we have a little high oil prices for a little while, but as soon as this ends, those prices are going to drop, I believe, lower than even before.
The State Department is now working to get military and charter flights to bring Americans stuck in the Middle East back home. Officials had initially told U.S. citizens to leave the region commercially, but many airports closed and airlines canceled flights when the war began. President Trump said today there was no comprehensive evacuation plan because everything happened so quickly. Monica Alba, NBC News, the White House.
And now back at home, a new bill heading its way to Governor Ivey's desk could eliminate out-of-pocket costs for breast cancer screenings. Sarah Grace Kennedy spoke with a breast cancer survivor today and has more.
Then you get that phone call saying that they have found something suspicious. Your world changes so fast. And then if you paired that with, I don't have the means or the insurance to pay for my treatment, I can't imagine what that's like.
Well, that's the call Melanie Hyatt got in 2022. Although her tumor was small, it was very aggressive. She had good insurance, but knows not everyone does. A close friend of hers who was recently diagnosed has already paid over $1,000 out of pocket. Reagan Mosley was just 29 years old when she was diagnosed with breast cancer. Insurance initially refused to cover her screenings based on her age. When she got her diagnosis, she had one thought.
All I wanted to do was take my diagnosis and throw it in everyone's face. That is the first thing I wanted to do because I felt like I had advocated so much for myself and no one really took me seriously except for my doctors. Cancer doesn't discriminate on age. If it did, we wouldn't have pediatric cancer.
Mosley paid thousands of dollars in screenings over 5 years. This bill would have made those tests free once insurance agreed to cover them. Annette McAdams has been a breast cancer survivor for nearly 14 years. She says she's heard from women who avoid getting screened because of the cost.
If your insurance will cover it without copays, I think more women would go to get their screening.
She says the current system is backwards.
Instead of being proactive, instead of covering the screenings, they'll cover everything once I was diagnosed with that C word.
McAdams supports this measure because early detection is often the difference between life and death.
That's the key to us living long, full lives, getting to see, I'll get emotional, getting to see grandbabies. And I've got friends that didn't get that choice.
Now with that, we're going to head to break, but coming up, details on a chase with authorities over the weekend in Jackson County and a Morgan County judge getting hacked on Facebook. It's all ahead. We'll go through it all in 1 minute. All right, break time over, y'all. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Before the Four. Now let's head out to Jackson County, where authorities chased a suspect over the weekend who was going over 130 miles an hour near County Road 225. Will Eldridge with the details on that chase.
Police say the pursuit started on John T. Reed Parkway and ended on this dead-end County Road 225. A woman looked out her window, pulled out her phone, and started recording the action as it unfolded outside her front door. This video shows officers leading Wayne Lynn out of the barn Wednesday afternoon. Scottsboro police say they pulled over a driver of a BMW. They say he gave them a fake name and then sped off, heading west on Highway 72. Police say the chase reached speeds of more than 130 miles per hour. Then the car crashed on County Road 225. And police say Lynn took off running. He ran straight into a barn and probably thought he had lost the pursuing officers. But they found him and slapped the cuffs on him. Lynn is now charged with multiple crimes. Will Eldridge, 48, on your side.
And now in Morgan County, where a judge's Facebook account was recently hacked. Noah Cowell tells us this story you'll only see here on 48.
Judge Howell woke up one morning in early February, finding herself completely locked out of her own Facebook account. All it took was seeing a new email and phone number registered to the account to realize she had been hacked.
I started seeing that he was posting these things, that I had this dying uncle. And it was just like this heart-wrenching thing with like real pictures of some guy on his deathbed in his hospital room. The next post, it follows up, it says, oh, I'm selling all this stuff. And there's, 15 cars and tractors and trailers and all manner of things that I'm selling for my uncle. And it's not my uncle. My uncle is fine.
Regardless of how tall of a tale it was, many of Howell's Facebook friends took the bait. She says in less than 48 hours, the hacker exchanged private messages with 137 different people, around 50 of them actually committing to buy something. One woman even tried wiring $30,000 to the scammer for multiple cars and a trailer, none of which existed.
The bank told her this is a scam and it didn't go through. That was my biggest fear, is like, people know me and they're going to think, oh, this is a judge. She's not going to scam me. She's not going to shaft me out of this money. She says she's going to meet me on Friday with a truck. She's going to meet me on Friday with a truck.
The scammer covered their tracks pretty well, disabling comments and blocking those who knew the account was hacked. Howell says thankfully only 3 payments went through, none totaling more than $2,000. But a recent Pew Research study shows there are many more scams to watch out for.
And if you're going to buy something online, see it in person. See the actual piece of property in person. See the actual face of the person selling it in person. There's just not a deal that's so good that, it's worth like sending money in an electronic fashion. So it absolutely, that's my advice. See it in person.
Well, I am glad she got that Facebook account back. What a crazy story there. Our own Noah Cowell reporting. And now let's go into the stories you're just not going to want to miss coming up in our evening newscast. The Sutton saga continues as we'll have an update on that Madison apartment complex that failed to pay its water bill. An update on a DeKalb County woman wanting to change her guilty plea of pushing a woman off a cliff. And finally, details on an off-duty Huntsville police officer who was arrested and charged with a DUI last year. Now he's filing an appeal to the circuit court stating that he was wrongly fired from the department. And these are just a few of the stories you're just not going to want to miss coming up in our evening newscast. And no Facebook fun today, y'all. I'm very sorry we did not have time to ask a Facebook fun question this afternoon, but I promise it'll be back tomorrow, and you won't just have to watch on YouTube tomorrow, as we'll figure out what's going on with our streaming technology, and we'll be back on the WAFF 48 News app as well as WAFF.com. But y'all, that is just about it for today's Before the 4. Thank you as always for tuning in, spending a bit of your Tuesday afternoon here. I hope you all have a fantastic night tonight. Enjoy our evening newscast, and as always, thank you so much for watching. You all have a great night.